Planning Commission to order on June 18th, 2025. Should be about 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Chris Crawley. Patrick O'Brien.
Here.
John Cost. Vivian Diggs told me she was not going to make it tonight. Garfield Parker.
Here.
Alan Garland, I think he's not going to make it tonight. Mr. Cost told me that. Roger McKinley.
Here.
Charles Williams.
Here.
Heidi, I'm sorry, Heidi Wilkins, Corey.
I'm a middle child. I'm used to being forgotten.
I was like, I know, we have six. I know we have six.
I'm here.
We do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
Yeah.
Fine. Let us start with
Just by nose.
Let us start with the invocation, please. My Father, we thank you this day as we look around and see all the confusion and all the trials and tribulations that are going on, not only just in Northumberland County, not only just in the state, but across the world. We ask you now for calmness and peace. We ask you to step in with your divine power to save this world that we are so determined to destroy. We ask you now, my Father, to just bless and guide this planning commission as we go about the business of Northumberland County. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. And could we stand and do the invocation? Oh, that's great. Sorry, I didn't.
Mr. Crawley?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm glad to see everybody. I first would like to congratulate Mr. Cost on his new position in life. Good for you. Good for you. All right.
What's his new
The
position?
Northern Neck District Planning Commission, which we have mentioned that we need to get a couple times. I was asked to fill the seat.
I saw that.
Okay. I hope you've had a chance to look at the approval of the agenda for tonight.
Move for approving the agenda as written.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Looking now at the approval of minutes from May 13th, 2025 meeting.
Move the minutes be accepted as written. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Which one was first, Roger or Heidi?
Oh,
Roger.
Okay,
I thought Roger was first. Okay, thank you.
okay.
Sorry.
All right, we're prepared now for commissioners' comments. Anything that's going on? There seems to be a very busy afternoon in Northumberland. There are a lot of things going on up and down the road. So
Car accidents.
Yes, yes. Commissioners' comments. Ms. McGinn.
I'm fine.
Ms. Goss. Charles.
My compliments to Mr. Cost for all the work that went in.
And Stewart.
And Stewart, sorry.
Okay. Ms. Crawley.
Looks like a bad accident down the road, so.
Down,
we
which
need to
way
keep them in
now?
our
Which way?
thoughts.
Coming from Lotsburg?
Towards Lotsburg.
Yeah. Okay.
Outside of Lotsburg.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no comment.
Okay.
Downtown.
All right. Stuart, do you have any comments?
Just that we'll have a public hearing next meeting, so hopefully everybody can make it. There's an oversized boathouse that will likely be coming
Okay.
for a public hearing.
Where is that located?
Honestly, don't know. I just got the heads up.
Is there a way to combine that with the approval of the revised master plan? Or is that just something that goes to the Board of Supervisors?
It's a separate public hearing.
Want to combine them?
But it'll be on the same day?
Yeah, but I'm not sure we're going to have a comprehensive plan
Okay, different
public
place.
hearing. But anyway, we will talk about that later.
What are we missing?
We'll talk about it later.
Okay. All right, okay.
It's a secret. Oh, good.
No, it's not a secret. It's state law.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. Anyone from the public would have to have anything to say this evening? Name and address where you are.
Good evening, Craig Palavinsky. I live in Bay Coral Shores, 86 Muriel Drive, Heathville, Virginia, 22473. Some of you may know me. I work for a design firm in Westmoreland County, Bayshore Design. I've been employed there for 32 years. And I design marine structures and permitting for various types of marine construction projects, from shoreline stabilization to private piers to commercial projects. And the reason why I'm before the Planning Commission tonight is I'm looking to see if the county would change their pier zoning ordinance to include open-sided gazebos or roof structures over private use piers. Currently, the pier ordinance allows for private use piers for waterfront property owners, riparian waterfront property owners, and it also, they allow open-sided boathouses up to 700 square feet, as long as they're not opposed to by the two adjoining property owners. But they do not allow for gazebos or roof structures over the piers themselves, just for, covering a boat and the boat slip. The Virginia Marine Resources Commission, they have a statutory exemption, whereas you don't need a permit as long as for private use piers under certain sizes, as long as you're for private use and a riparian waterfront property owner. They also allow boathouses or open-sided boathouses up to 700 square feet. And a number of years ago, they've added to their exemption open-sided gazebos up to 400 square feet. And since they did this, I'm been getting more and more requests, more frequent requests to get permits to build open-sided gazebos over piers. So that's why I figured I'd start with the Planning Commission tonight to see what we need to do to move forward to see if we can amend the pier zoning ordinance to include open-sided gazebos.
But have you been having any problems with people that want to put those in? Or has the state had a history of what problems are they existing, or your next door neighbors, in other words, they're going to have to sign off on it, I guess?
It's the same thing. The state runs the same way. There are cover slips. You have to sign off to two adjoining landowners. The gazebos runs the same way. They do not allow sides. They do not allow screening on the gazebos, so they have to be entirely open.
So you want to add sides up to a certain height?
No sides at all.
No sides whatsoever.
No sides at all?
No, just
on
a roof
gazebo?
structure over the pier itself, so it's not to shelter a boat.
Got it.
Is there a height restriction on the gazebos that they approve at VMRC?
Not the VMRC, no. I know the county, their
Just
boathouses
400
are like
square feet?
22 feet above mean level water, which,
Yeah.
that would never
Craig, does the
beach that with a gazebo.
Statues on the screen.
Does it define gazebo?
So there's a section of the Virginia Marine Resources Commission laws relating to submerged bottomlands, section 28-2-1203. And what I've highlighted in pink is what they added as far as allowing gazebos. Everything highlighted in yellow is statutory exempt as far as private use piers up to a certain size. They allow you to have appendages of 400 square feet in addition to the main stem of the pier. And then they have also the covered slips in there up to 700 square feet, not opposed to by the adjoining property owners. Now, the way Northumberland County operates with covered slips is they also run a public notice and they advertise for 10 days. And assuming there's no comments, then it's an administrative zoning permit. If there's any opposition to it, then it needs a conditional use permit, and then it goes to the Board of Supervisors, well, actually, Planning Commission, and then Board of Supervisors.
What is the typical footage floor plan of it? What's the length and the width? 15 by 15 or more or less, or?
Yeah, a lot of ones that I've designed were like 18 by 20, so that's 360 square feet. And all the ones that I've designed, they tied into a cover slip. So I would have, say, a 672 square foot cover slip along the side of the pier with hip roof, and then I would just run the ridge the opposite way and have, like say an 18 by 20 gazebo over the pier. So it wouldn't be any higher than obviously the ridge on the cover slip, because that's bigger. And there's no view obstruction because the cover slip is longer than the gazebo. So from the sides, it's obscured by the cover slip, so there's no more view obstruction. So
How does that get approved in the county now? Is it even
No, gazebo, open-sided roofs, other than for sheltering and protecting the boat, are not allowed.
Okay.
And I've talked with Philip about it. He had said that he would recommend that we go about the same way we do with boathouses, that it can be administrative approved. But the language here says that if neighboring property owners objects to a proposed roof structure, permit shall be required. And I asked Philip about that. I said, is that local or VMRC? He said, no, VMRC. So they would hold a public hearing down in Fort Monroe.
Oh,
It's the way Philip explained it to me, if there are objections. And it's up to, I guess, the board or us to decide whether we want to do with conditional use. But if the state's already holding a public hearing and trying to iron out the things, I'm not sure what role we really have here. Philip thinks that we could just put it in our existing boathouse ordinance and say if there's an objection, instead of saying conditional use, and we'll go to a VMRC hearing, and that we would change the boathouse ordinance to say boathouse and gazebos. So that would cover that. Then, of course, we'd have to define gazebos. And I've got a letter from Jeff Madden that Philip emailed, and he stated that that just what Mr. Palubinsky said is that you can have open-sided gazebos 400 square feet or less if neighbors don't object. And if they do object, permit required. And he defines adjacent property owners as those who share a property line on the waterfront with the applicant and not the guy across the creek. And he emphasized to Philip that no doors, no walls, no screens, no nothing, open-sided. So we have to make sure that's in the ordinance as well.
If the
So-
VMRC statute defines gazebo, we're gonna have to create something from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their definition is of they just said open roof structure. It says, or the open-sided shelter roofs or gazebo structures exceed 400 square feet. So they're saying open shelter roofs or gazebos. I always thought gazebos had to have 6 or 8 sides.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
Which would mean a whole lot
That's
of
why I was like, you can have a square gazebo? I'm not sure you can. But anyway, that's further down the road.
so what, is it up to us to say we want to change the ordinance, or do we have to go to the board and
We have
ask
to go to
them
the board.
to let us look at
I
this?
talked to Mr. Palubinsky and said, you know, the board is the one that's gonna, we can't do it on our own. We have to ask permission. So I told him he could come to a board meeting or come to the planning commission, however he wanted to do it. He figured he'd come to the planning commission. So if you all agree and vote to do this, and I will send a memo to the board, then I'm not sure when the board's going to get a chance to send us back a memo, but once they send us a memo, we can start working on that, if that's the pleasure of the commission.
I'd like to make a motion that we send it to the board and ask for their approval to have us look at this, adding the gazebo to our ordinance for boathouses.
Second.
All right, who was second? Yeah, okay.
All right. Any more questions?
Did I miss it? Are there any other counties that have already addressed this? Or is this so new?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Are there any other counties that have addressed this issue already? Are you doing this other places?
Just King George, Middlesex, and Essex allow.
Okay.
Lancaster doesn't allow any boathouses in Hammond since 1989, and Westmoreland and Northumberland, Richmond County, they're all on the same page. We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you said King George, Essex, and what?
Middlesex.
Middlesex? Okay, thank you.
I would think when you go to the board or whatever, you have some photographs of some nice looking
Right,
things that'd be helpful.
sure.
All right. Have it in second, no more questions. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. We'll send it to the board.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you for bringing it to us.
Okay. That ends the citizens' comments. If there's anything else, all right.
Is there anybody online that would like to comment?
Okay. Anybody online have a comment? Any suggestions? All right. Public hearing items. There is no public hearing scheduled for tonight. Work session items. The comprehensive plan revisions. All right.
So you've got the usual cheat sheet here.
Okay.
Just so it's clear that the graphic has been updated a bit, we do have to address a Chapter 5 versus Appendix A issue, but I think we'll be fine on that. So the agenda is items 1 through 7 at the bottom of the page. If you turn over and look at the back, there is a motion corresponding to each of these if anybody's inclined to make them at the time that we get to them. And so we'll be able to go through this in relatively short order. The first item is the approval of all of the changes to Chapter 3, which is the Water Quality Protection Plan. We have not brought that one before you yet. There were not a massive number of small minor changes to do, and there were some complications on the rest of it. So it's all at once. You should have received that about a month ago now to review. If there's any questions. Stuart, was anything that we needed to call their attention to? I don't remember anything in this chapter.
I'm not thinking it, just really small stuff.
Yeah, this was a relatively straightforward one. There were some formatting changes, as there has been throughout, but by and large, it's quite straightforward. If there's questions, happy to answer them. Comments?
I went through it, and they're basically just standard editorial changes. So I would move that we approve the changes to Chapter 3.
All right. Any questions? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Item 2 is the reordering of the chapter. So we did this tentatively before, and it was intentionally written as tentatively before because we had not finalized the decision about what was going to go where. So if you go back up again to the top, the pink is the way it used to be, the green is the way it's being proposed. This is a change, though, from the past meetings. Chapter 5, I had originally hoped to create as Appendix A. It used to be Chapter 2. It's the the goals, objectives, and strategies chapter. So it's sort of a executive summary in 3 columns of all of the other chapters to some degree. Stuart and I had a conversation about this, and he thinks that it's important enough, and I agree it is a very important chapter, that rather than calling it Appendix A, that we go back and simply make it Chapter 5. So it will be intentionally at the back of the other 4 chapters, which contain the content to which this is mostly referring. And this, so the issue before us now is not what's in that chapter, it's the order of the chapter. We'll get to the content on the next item here. So this is simply changing from what we had been expecting to do, moving what was Appendix A to become Chapter 5, and then reordering Chapter Appendix B to become A. That's the list of historic places. And then adding Appendix B, the community pillar score sheet, which is a new thing since we talked last. So this is simply reordering at this point. There is a motion on the back if anybody wants to make it, or if there's any questions.
I move we accept the change from Appendix A to Chapter 5.
Second.
It's also Appendix B. There's some other things too, so the motion covers that all.
My agenda doesn't have that.
Oh,
Because I print mine at home. So,
Got it.
but that's fine, just
There's
whatever it
extra
is.
copies here.
it's easier to follow.
Whatever it is Chris needs one of them too.
of those two?
Of course.
I was late, so I was ashamed to go forward.
I print them at home, I don't do it twice.
I missed that.
Move that the final order and structure of the comprehensive plan as proposed be approved.
Second.
All right. Any questions? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The next item is the content of what is now Chapter 5. That was again sent to you about a month ago. We do have one change that we did not bother to send on to you. Stuart, if you can bring up that chapter, page 15. There was an item related to a block of time from 2000 to 2010 mentioned in there. We wanted to update that one with some more demographic information, so it's... So this is the change here. It's in the upper left. So it showed more specifically that the county increased during that decade about 90 people, and with a dominant increase of 65, that was already there. Between 2010 and 2020, it actually fell by 532 people, and since the 2020 census, it has fallen an additional further 26 people. That was the only substantive change that we made since the document was sent to you before. You will have noticed, of course, if you read it earlier when we sent it, there were some substantive changes added later on. Nothing controversial in our view, except maybe the schools might object to the fact we called up the schools for needing to focus more on improving test scores. But nonetheless, you will already see. The major change to me in this one, aside from the editorial stuff, is at the very top on all of the tables. See, there's many pages of tables where I went through and found out to where is the content in the previous 4 chapters that this stuff is about. And it took me quite a while to figure out what was going on in this chapter, which is why we're getting this way at the end of the process here. So I did go through, I found out where everything is, made sure it's in the right order, and then made reference to it up at the very top. So that'll be hopefully a helpful thing for our readers to use.
What do you attribute the 532 to?
U.S. Census Bureau. That's the data.
No,
Why?
I question where it's coming from. What's the reason for it?
Oh, I'm trying to remember what the census. Do you remember what?
Out-migration and death,
Yeah.
and
Where-
not enough in-migration.
Where-
And this is problematic because Weldon Cooper Center says we're gaining population, but the census says we're not. So it's still only a couple hundred people either way. But the census numbers and Weldon, anyway, I feel that there's been more people since the COVID that have moved in, that were maybe part-time and now full-time. But,
So you
you got to
think-
go with the numbers that are published numbers.
So you're thinking it shouldn't be that much? You should have more of an increase
Well,
from what that number is since when it goes up to 2020.
This is the actual census numbers. There are projections, and we don't have those numbers in here. But I was just talking about the projections that they have different numbers than what the census does. But we went with the actual census information.
Okay.
I think part of that job loss is
That's-
attributable to...
That's people, not jobs, that's people.
People just stop working anywhere, is that a population drop
Yeah, it's population drop.
as a result of things like out-migration?
Yeah, and death.
That number starts from the year 2000, which was, if I recall right, about the time that the Levi's factory in Warsaw closed.
Could be.
That had to have an impact on it. People can't make a living anymore.
But bear in mind, all 3 of these changes, the net is about 500 people in a population of about 12,500. So it's a very, very small percentage.
That's not worth tickling over.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any other questions about Chapter 5? If not, there is a motion on the back.
Move we approve the changes to Chapter 5, including the remuneration of it.
Okay, did everybody understand that motion?
We already renumbered it, yeah.
Okay, all right. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. Now the fun one, the preamble. Again, you were sent that back in April. I did send you a revised version today that adds 2 paragraphs. We can go through those really quickly. And notice I added in the title here, it's no longer just about the origins, it's also about the future at a high level. Okay, and that's what those 2 paragraphs are for. Nothing much changes for a while. You've already approved of most of the minor changes. Then we get down here, and again, this is all the new stuff that I've added since you saw this last. Again, it's talking what happened in the last decade. It mentions COVID, which had not been in there before, and the impact that that has, as well as the introduction of more internet access in the county and what that might be. Then it reminds us of this discussions about the housing market. But then we sort of circle back to, okay, here's where we've been, and now we know we're at an inflection point. What does the county do next? And that was the next point here in this paragraph. At any point in time, a comprehensive plan cannot fulfill the promise of being comprehensive if for no other reason that there are so many variables and unknowns, many of which are beyond the control of the county. Nonetheless, such a plan can help not only describe the current state of the county, as Chapter 1 does, but it can also point to short-term opportunities, particularly those over which the county does have some control. For this reason, and to promote the community discussion about these issues and opportunities, this plan offers the following pillars of community growth. And then we get to the new material I shared with you earlier in the month. We go down and the graphic starts, and all of that material was already shared with you. So the only additions in it, all of this stuff in red is new from what you've approved before, but you will have gotten a couple of notes from me about it now. All of the comments I received from you via email were very positive about the pillars of growth stuff. So if there's any questions or comments, I would love to hear them. Otherwise, here we go.
All right. Are there any questions? Questions on the pillars?
Did anyone have, I'm just curious, I mean, I'm hoping that at some time this evening you all, if you haven't already done so, we'll fill one of these forms out, but did anyone have a chance to really look at the 24 questions to decide, are they the right ones? Are there more that we should have added, or are there, I got no feedback from anybody.
I was very
Other
happy.
than Maurice. Okay.
I thought they covered the waterfront.
There's no waterfront questions in here.
They covered all the bases? Even those, there's no baseball question either? Okay.
Is there a motion?
Which one are we on?
Number 4.
Number 4.
Will that go on the county website
It could,
as a
certainly.
fillable form instead of having?
That would be more challenging because it requires it to be interactive. I don't think our county website has any interactivity built into it, does it?
No,
Oh, he's not sure.
No.
I don't think there is either.
but we could make it a fillable PDF that you would have to download it and then type in the answer instead of circling it with a pen.
Yeah.
But that's a possibility.
Yeah. We can discuss that with the Board of Supervisors. One thing I think it could be useful for, and I'm speaking politically now, is that as supervisors have meetings with constituents, have them fill it out and do it at the Board of Supervisors meetings. I'm certainly going to suggest we do that when this thing finally gets to them for public hearing. I think there's a lot of things that can be done to generate a lot of interest and community feedback, but I'm not prepared to go that far yet in terms of putting it online.
My comment would be, we got to get obviously, we've got to get a broader sample than just us.
Oh, yeah.
I would suggest that in addition to the Board of Supervisors meeting, we should distribute it at least once or twice to the NAACP.
Sure, good idea. Any sorts of community groups would be great.
Well, it's just a different part of the county than we usually get.
Yep.
And it's probably a more objective sample of the county than what we would get at a Board of Supervisors meeting.
Sure. I like it. I like it. Again, something we should discuss with the Board of Supervisors when the time comes, because we're not going to do this on our own, I guess.
No, but I don't think it would take that much to generate a representative sample.
Right.
And the NAACP is a place I would start.
My only question is, who interprets these results?
Well, I've started a spreadsheet to do that, and it's going to have several tabs. The first tab is going to be Planning Commission. How did we score it? The second tab, guess what? It's going to be if they go along with the Board of Supervisors. It'd be really interesting to see if there's a gap between how the supervisors think of the county and everybody else. So right now, I've created a master Excel spreadsheet to do it. I've already inputted what few I have. Happy to add a lot more, so I'm happy to do that. And I can continue to bring it back here as part of the commission's comments if you want.
I just think there's so many different experiences within the county
No question.
that to try to black and white it, if you will, there needs to be some interpretation to these answers.
Yep, yep.
I'm not opposed to it, but I do think the interpretive part is the challenge.
And I think at the very least, that possibility for different interpretations is grounds for community discussion, which is a positive thing.
And exactly, I agree.
But that also means, I don't know how far out we have to go, but in terms of circulating this, but we would need a representative sample.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how you get one around here.
Would it be illegal to put it at a polling place where people go to vote?
Very confusing, I suspect.
I would think it'd be confusing, and depending on the election,
You just hand it to them as they leave.
And
depending on the election, you'll get a different cross-section of the county.
see,
You get a whole bunch of people.
Well, that's true, but, for example, when Barack Obama was running, 90+% of the black community came out. That number dropped off substantially when it was Biden, Trump, or Clinton, Trump. As did general public interest in the outcome of the election. However, the last election we held, the turnout was really, really strong. So I don't know if that's indicative of anything. I mean,
Yeah, I just threw it out as a question.
you had a heavy emphasis on early voting, which we hadn't had before,
Maybe.
in those numbers.
maybe one thing we can do is we can ask Matt to investigate before this goes before the supervisors and say, do we have the capability of doing an online interactive survey? Can I leave that with you as a sort of homework project? Sure, okay.
Mr. Chairman, are you looking for a motion?
Yes.
I move that the edits presented for the preamble and Appendix B be tentatively approved pending final completion and approval of the comprehensive plan for 2025.
Second.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed?
Item 5 is the least controversial of the bunch. It is Appendix A, which used to be the very back end. It's the list of historic places. I think we added one item. They're all in alphabetical order, and I do not remember what it was. Other than that, the only other changes are strictly formatting changes. So it's very straightforward.
Sorry.
We have to update the Reedville district. The day house is no longer a Texaco office, it's a private residence.
Oh, okay.
I saw nothing on this list that struck me as not historic.
Cool.
Ms. Wilkins Corey, you said what house?
The day house,
DEY?
DEY.
Okay.
all of the information is correct, and it was a Texaco office,
So-
but now it's a private residence.
So just now to delete now Texaco office.
That would be fine.
Okay.
Cool, thank you.
Now,
Just
is that
going for
Texaco
accuracy.
as in the oil company?
It
or-
was a Texaco oil.
It wasn't the
office.
baseball team?
No,
Okay.
no.
Thank you for going through that, that's great.
All right?
And there is a motion on the back, if you're interested.
Do you have your motion?
Roger made the motion.
No, you did the
I
previous.
did the previous one, I'd be glad to do this
Well, I
one.
move that we approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank
I'm
you.
sorry, who was second?
Patrick.
Patrick?
I thought
Oh,
Patrick was
Roger,
first.
Roger. Yeah, sorry, Pat.
And now, did that motion read as number 5 there, or do we want to put in that as revised, that we took the note? Anyway, I just want to know what to write in the minutes.
As revised.
Okay.
So that's it, except we got to finish it up. And so there's a couple things we need to do. Stuart wants to talk about the timing. I said at the last meeting, we discussed a date for a public hearing potentially in July. Stuart may want, is going to bring that up. Between now and when we have a public hearing, all of these changes in red you saw need to be incorporated. That may result in some minor movement of stuff, words around that need to be changed. I also have to repaginate the table of contents and the listed graphics. Those are not a big deal. The question is, what do you want to do in the July meeting? Do you want to see all of the changes that will come about as a result, final form document, and then schedule the public hearing? Or are you content with motion number 6, which says, John and Stuart, go clean it up, make it ready, only minor edits, formatting, no big deal, no substance at this point. There's nothing left except, unless I find typos.
I'm comfortable with 6. So I move to approve
Okay.
number 6 on the motion.
I would like to see the document when it's finished before anything else. Does everybody understand what I mean? I would like, after y'all make your changes,
There was a motion.
motion.
Well, I'm assuming, with reference to Mr. Parker's comment, that the final as edited version of this will be circulated to the members prior to the meeting.
Right.
So
Right.
if we have any,
Before we go to public hearing, public.
well, we can,
I just don't want someone to ask us the question and we haven't seen it ourselves. There's been enough of that in
Oh,
our
sure.
public environment.
There still needs to be a second to his before we're having a
Okay.
discussion.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, okay. Questions? My question is that I want to see the document before anybody else sees it. So to make sure that we understand it, so that we can explain it,
Exactly.
okay? Do you understand what I mean?
I do. And so
Okay.
here would be the plan going forward from beginning tomorrow morning. I will go through and accept all the changes that have been made.
Right.
Put it all together, begin the repagination process. I will also go through the glossary of terms to see are there items on the glossary we didn't use or didn't use enough of, get rid of those, clean that up. So you will have a clean document by the end of next week.
Okay.
Now, the question is, to your point, it's going to be a long document, obviously, there's
Right,
5
right.
chapters. The question is, do you want to proceed with scheduling it, a hearing or a public hearing, or do you want to wait and have a final review of this group at the July meeting and then schedule the public hearing? Stuart, I know you want to give some input on that, so.
Yeah, I talked with the county administrator regarding what we were planning, and it's not what I want. It's Virginia State Code, section 15, .2-2202 states, and this is some of the problems they've had with the budget, we have to publish a notice of intention to do so twice in a newspaper having general circulation in the locality. The first notice appearing no more than 28 days before. We're covered with that. And the second notice appearing no less than 7 days before the date of the meeting referenced in the notice. If we were to go ahead and try to do it in July, the next meeting, you have 28, I have to send the advertisement in July 2nd. The holiday's the 4th. I'm taking off the week of the 7th through 11th, that's immaterial. But if we do this, then the ad will be published on the 9th and the 16th in the Echo, and the 10th and the 17th in the Record. So the Echo would be the second notice would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days from the notice, and it says no less, the state code says no less than 7 days. No less than 7 days before the date of the meeting referenced in the notice. So therefore, we cannot do it on the 22nd if we
Right.
wanted to.
You just can't push it through. I think,
Let's be sure on the facts here. So we got 28 days, so that backs up to what date?
That's the first notice.
I understand. So what date is that? Is that the 20?
It's immaterial because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 days.
so.
Well, actually, no, that's not right. It's from the 9th. 9 from 22. So we meet the first criteria.
Okay,
So it can't be done.
The second criteria is the problem.
Why?
Because the second notice is on the 16th, and it has to be no less than 7 days. I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's the problem with the newspaper.
It's the second-
Oh, I thought it was a problem for us.
No, it's the publication date of the newspaper. And, I'm just trying to follow the law, and
Oh, we're
Luttrell
gonna
said
follow
this
the
is the
law,
problem
most
they've had with
definitely.
budgets, because they have to do it 7 days. They gotta wait 7 days.
Okay. I get it now.
so are we talking about doing one part in July and another part in August?
Well, according to what Mr. Cost said he is going to accomplish, we can look at it at the 22nd.
Right,
A clean copy.
of July,
Yes, sir.
right.
If y'all want to do that, and then we can, if y'all are okay, then we can schedule that for the August meeting.
Okay, that sounds
I
better
mean,
to
however
me.
y'all want to do it.
Now, the challenge is we're going to have to do a reschedule. I'm not here in August during our scheduled meeting period.
And wasn't the purpose of changing to July 22nd instead of our normal meeting day to accommodate a public hearing with Mr. Cost available?
Yes.
And if we're not going to have a public hearing on this on the 22nd, I don't see why we're changing our meeting.
Yeah,
Why we're not back to our regular date.
But then the question is, what's the agenda for the meeting? I assume it's going to include reviewing this document again. Or it doesn't have to be, but I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be in the country at our July normal meeting time.
I don't see how we can have a meeting in July on this subject without John being present.
You're here in July, you're just gone in August.
No, I'm not here during our regular meeting day. We changed the
I see,
July
okay,
date
I'm
because I
with-
can't be here.
And I thought we changed it because you couldn't be here for the public hearing. Anyway,
Well, we did, but I, again, was working from the assumption everything would be done and there would be nothing to do between now and then.
but so now the reality is the public hearing can't be held until August.
right.
That's the
Right,
reality.
or later
Or
July.
September.
Yeah, because I'm looking at August, and then to
But he's not going to
finalize,
be here in August either.
I am the first 2 weeks of August, so if we wanted to do an early August meeting.
my thinking it won't be done until September, October. It's a comprehensive plan. And although it's important to get it done, let's do it right. Let's allow the time. I mean, a lot of time to pass till we get everybody straight.
Yeah, it's going to
Because-
take a while to read and review all this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna take some time, and Mr. Cos hopefully will be back from out of the, back in country by then, okay? And it will give us older folk time to read through it completely,
Yeah.
okay?
What's the tentative September meeting date? The 22nd? No, sorry.
The 18th.
18th, yeah.
That's good for me. John?
I can do the 18th. I am available the first 2 weeks of August. It can get done by then. It's entirely up to you. I just want this, Stuart's been busier than hell with this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Get it off
You've
his
done all
plate,
this
too.
work.
Get
You've
it
done
off
all
his
this work.
plate, too,
It's
though.
essentially complete. So, you guys are going on vacation. You know, the comprehensive plan, just do it in September. I mean, we do whatever we need to do to make sure that we're falling in line with state guidelines. Right,
We're not
Stuart?
under any time constraints.
Right, yeah, you know, we're not,
Oh, we're way overdue on it.
we're sipping margaritas, you know, hey,
We're way
yeah.
overdue on it anyway.
Yeah, so,
And I don't want to rush it through, and I'm not
Well,
sure the board
it's
is
already,
going to be
right,
prepared to rush
it's
it.
already, you've done the work.
I did discuss it with Mr. Haney.
You've done the work.
The date, the most members are the most comfortable with allowing for review time is the meeting in September.
Yeah,
Now, bear in mind, the supervisors themselves are going to have to go through the same publication law, and so
Right.
they may not get to it then as a result until November.
Well, no, in the past, what happens is the planning commission passes it, and then we send it to VDOT and DEQ for review, for the Chesapeake Bay Act and for the transportation requirements. And then however, I don't know how long it's going to take
So
for
this
them
could
to
be
get it
next
back.
year.
Could be. I don't know. I would think they would try to do it within 60 days, but I don't know if they have a timeline. And I wasn't here, well, actually, I don't know if it was in the tail end or not. But, you know, we don't want the board to pass something that doesn't meet the requirements, so we want to get that reviewed. But we want to have consensus on what we feel, the planning commission level, that is good enough to go forward. And we may get it back from DEQ and have to change a few things, or VDOT may have to change it. I hope not.
You know, there's a lot of big elections coming up in November, including the gubernatorial election. We might have a problem with the two agencies Stuart just mentioned,
Why?
because a lot of people in Richmond like to know which way the wind's going to blow in November. And they tend to sit on things that are completely time sensitive. You see the same thing going on in DC as well.
This is so inert, though, from a political perspective.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why, but
You know, I don't know either, except that somebody somewhere on the campaign trail may say something that contradicts what we've written, which will cause some level of alarm in Richmond.
You had mentioned you talked to Mr. Haney.
yeah, he said they weren't going to schedule until September at the earliest, so, you know, but, and mainly because they know July is still going to be horrid with budget reconciliation stuff.
Right.
In August, they're not sure yet, so I called him in terms of scheduling, just to see what his thinking was in terms of working, so make sure my calendar wasn't more screwed up in the fall.
When's the Board of Supervisors meeting in September?
11th, week
Okay,
before ours.
So if we moved up our meeting to the end of the first week in September for final approval, we could send it to the Board of Supervisors.
No, it has to go to the VDOT
be
and
posted.
Oh,
DEQ.
yeah, so VDOT and DEQ?
Yeah, that's the two that, there's comprehensive plan carve-outs for each one of those agencies, for Chesapeake Bay Act and for transportation planning.
So looking at the calendar, based on all that, Stuart, I'm deeply concerned that there's potential slop over. This isn't going to get till 26, which disturbs me greatly. And because of all the work we've done, and we actually are going to get it done relatively early 25, I think we need to try to get our timing done so this thing gets to VDOT and DEQ by early fall, late summer, better. So whether we need to have something in early August or early September, I think we need to do that. Even late August, there's the week before Labor Day. Maybe people are traveling, I don't know, but I'm basically going the 18th to the 26th. I can do it anytime other than that,
Of August.
of August.
So you could theoretically do it in the first and second week of August?
Yes.
Well, let's hold the public hearings then, because with any luck, nobody's going to show up. And secondly, you don't have to quote me on that one. Yeah.
It's a shame we can't get it done sooner. And it's, right now, it's because of the advertising schedule.
Well, I'm actually more concerned with the people in Richmond sitting on it. So it makes sense to me that the earlier we go in August, the better off we are.
I think so too.
Mr. Chairman, what's the next big project that we've got coming up? What are we going to be looking at in the next few months?
Gazebos.
Both houses.
Now, that'll be quick, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've not heard anything other than, conditional use permits and things of that nature.
Okay.
I don't know.
I just want to make sure we're compliant. With whatever the state's doing, it has to be coordinated. And we can't do that in July.
Is that third week in July the only week you're available? Like, we couldn't do it the fourth week in July?
So the week of the 4th of August, the week of the 11th, I'd suggest August 12th. Gives us plenty of time to comply with everything. It doesn't conflict with any other meetings here that I'm aware of.
What date?
It's Tuesday, the 12th of August?
There's a wetlands board meeting at 5 p.m.
But they don't go to have that late.
I thought the state
It's
code
their
said
oath,
you
the
have
sheriff's
2
office,
meetings
they're
and
not
people
here.
don't-
I understand that, but I've been told by the county administration, we don't want to have two public meetings that will limit citizens' input. Now, they may be done by 7 p.m. I don't know that.
Yeah,
That's 9:30 a.m.?
they meet at 7
That's the
o'clock.
electoral board.
Right.
And the wetlands board meets at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Is that a change?
Yes.
So we should have no issue at 7. We could do it the week earlier.
Are both of those meetings in the sheriff's office?
I think the electoral board meetings at the electoral board office.
It's a Zoom issue. We only have one Zoom account, so we can't overlap with another official board.
Right, but if the wetland board,
They meet in the sheriff's office.
They never go more than 2 hours. They never go 2 hours
Plus, I have a project on there that night,
that afternoon.
that, 5 o'clock, excuse me. I'm used to meeting at 7. I wonder why they changed it.
So they
Is
can
that
go
all
home
this-
earlier.
Huh? So they can go home early. Well, they all sit at home anyway.
It's better
Is that the only matter
than
of
waiting at your desk for
significance?
2 hours to go to the meeting.
I'm sorry. Patrick, what did you ask?
is your matter the only thing of significance on their agenda?
No, and I'm not, I think there's 4 projects altogether. Mine's number 1.
What about the 6th? August 6th?
I'm good with the 6th.
That's a Wednesday.
Now, I have to go back and at each one of these dates, I have to figure out when we have to advertise for that and then count the days. So
You're good.
planning commission's the 20, if the planning commission's the 22nd, then I don't see how I could advertise it in time for that because
Why? Do it before.
How many days you
Do it
missing?
before.
the planning commission has to meet to make sure they're okay with the comp plan. That's what the July meeting is. Isn't that what we're
Right.
supposed to do?
Right.
And look at the clean copy? And then
Oh, I
after
thought
that
you were
meeting,
willing to look at it offline beforehand. So you want to have a meeting to approve it?
Well, we got to get our hands on it.
Right.
Yeah, well, you'll have that
Right.
next week.
Well, how?
If
For me.
nobody objects to the comp plan as finalized, what's the point of having a meeting?
On the 22nd?
Yeah.
Well, you can move it earlier now. 'Cause-
We can have it the regular time in July, and that'll give him more time to advertise for an August public hearing.
Right.
I still don't think it's enough though, does it?
So you get out on Tuesday, the 22nd.
Our regular meeting day was supposed to be the 17th. Does that give you enough time? Why?
I'm not very good on the run calculating all these things. So y'all pick a date and we'll see how it works out. I prefer to go with I'm used to the regular schedule. I know when to advertise on the regular schedule. When we start getting these other ones, then I'll have to advertise before we have the meeting, which I don't think is kosher.
I agree.
But, you know, you all tell me what you want to do, pick a date.
I'm extremely uncomfortable waiting till September and having to go through all the state bureaucracy and expect to get this done in this calendar year. This fiscal year, yeah.
Well, having the regular meeting in July won't give us the 28 days we need for a public hearing on August 7th.
No, it's no less than 28 days.
Oh, within 28 days.
So it's under, you can't do it you can't do it 29 days before. You can do it 28, 26, 20.
Oh, we're fine then.
So if we do the regular meeting on the 17th, and then it's 21 days till the 7th for a
We're
public
good then.
hearing.
We're good.
So we'll keep our regular schedule for July.
Go back to it.
Right. Go back to our regular schedule, which is July 17th.
And what was the August date again?
Both or 6? Both would work according to, so on. I would suggest we go with August 6th.
Of August.
Yeah.
That works for me.
There was something else going on August 6th.
I don't see anything,
Nothing?
not for the board.
So do you have any objections with August 6th?
Thinking on the fly, I don't have both of the months together to count
Okay.
back on the days.
Okay.
So,
You got them there, right?
yeah, if I could find a calendar that has two months on the same page.
Well, my
Are you
phone-
gonna count back from the 6th, you mean?
Yeah,
Go up a little bit, scroll up a little bit higher, stop. You can go back, go back to the 30th, 29th. So,
well, they want August 6th.
He's trying to help you count.
that's July. Okay.
So August 6th, so 1, 2.
Advertise on the 31st, 30th.
Now I have to have 2 weeks of advertisement before.
So,
No less than
And
seven.
the second notice has to be more than 7 days. And see, that's the problem, when you pick a Wednesday,
right,
the newspaper,
it comes out on Thursdays.
right, and, well, with Wednesday before. Sure,
Subject to clarification.
Well, as long as the newspaper gets a check in their hands, you can kill the ad if something major comes up, or reschedule it further out.
So Stuart, let me just ask you a question. So our next planning commission meeting is on July 17th.
Yep.
right.
All right,
So then if I advertise the day after the planning commission meeting would be the 18th, then I would put it in the paper for the 23rd and the 30th, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 days, so that will not work.
okay.
Why not?
It won't work
Because
for
it
the
has
6th.
to be, it can be
Okay.
no
So
less than
what
7 days.
What's our next meeting in August?
It would typically be the 21st.
It'll typically be the 21st.
We do the 12th.
So if they don't run the ad until the following week, are we okay?
No, because you have to have it.
That's just what he
20th.
said, we're
You
not.
have to have the first, you have to have 2 notices.
August 6th will not work.
Okay, August 6th is out. No more discussion about August 6th, that's out. Okay,
August 12th,
what's the next available date that we can meet?
August 12th.
That does not conflict with anything else going on in a county meeting?
August 12th, and that's just a matter of whether the wetland board will be done by 7 PM. And I don't go to those meetings, and I don't know, I don't think they would take longer
No,
than 2
I
hours.
have, they don't take that long. You go to a lot more than I do.
I go almost every month, and it takes about 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Unless they have a huge agenda, then or they have something controversial, like my last project.
Well,
Make sure that doesn't happen.
That's right.
we can front load any business matters and then actually have the public hearing part of the agenda later, like 8 or 8:30, something like that.
Doesn't solve the problem, because again, it's a Zoom issue, so
Yeah.
their meeting has to be done, but
You
there's no
can't
way
do
it's
the
gonna go
11th
that
or
long.
the 13th?
Huh?
Can we do the 11th or the 13th?
Board of Supervisors,
On the 13th? No.
They're on the 14th.
They're on the 14th.
Patrick and I have a conflict on the 13th.
Okay.
Okay, so you gotta stay with our schedule. What's our schedule? The next planning commission meeting for August is
21st.
21st.
It's 10 days away, and 10 days, does it really matter that much?
I can't
Not
be
to
here.
me,
I
but-
can't be
No,
here.
no.
The 23rd, that's not the 23rd, no,
21st.
21st, yeah.
I'm gone the 18th to the 26th.
Okay.
That's why September became the issue, and again, it's just so late.
how about the 27th of August?
It's a Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the day I get back, 27th, 18th to 27th. Did I say 26th?
You said you were going to be gone through the
Yeah,
26th.
I can do the 28th, which is Thursday.
See, the Thursdays give us the 7 days, because Echo publishes on Wednesday.
Right.
Okay.
So anytime you go before the Wednesday, then I'll have to have it 2 weeks
I can
beforehand.
do the 28th, it's a Thursday.
All right,
So,
So our August meeting would be the 28th instead of the 21st.
I don't hear any objection.
does that comply with everything we need to do?
I believe so. The 7 days is the problem, and if it's on a Thursday, then we will have an advertisement 7 days, more than 7 days from that. It'll be 8 days.
All right,
Because Wednesday is Echo Publishing.
okay. Do we need a motion?
Sure.
I move our July meeting be July
July 17th.
17.
17th,
17.
and our August meeting be moved to August 28th.
Second.
Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We should be in compliance.
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Okay, so that being said, we do not need to deal with item 7 tonight. Let's go back to item 6. This is the sort of comprehensive cleanup amendment. So the question is, it's purely it's a very simple issue. Everything left to do is purely cleanup edits. There is nothing here other than maybe typos. The question is, do you want to see all of those as you would have done in the earliest drafts when we were looking at cleaning up acronyms and crap like that? In which case, I'm going to put it in track changes mode and send it off to you. Or do you trust, after all this time, Stuart and me, just to clean it up and get you a clean copy at the end of next week?
I'm happy with just a clean copy.
Okay.
Yep.
I second that motion to allow you to restore it.
So it's motion 6, but yes. If anything turns up that is more substantive, we will let you know.
Well, you always, anything that's substantive, you always include in a covering email
Correct.
when you send out the draft, so.
I'm sorry, who, I heard Heidi make the second. Who made the motion?
Heidi made the motion, I seconded it.
Or vice versa.
Oh, that's right, you're right.
Okay.
All right. So we all straight, all in favor?
Aye.
Everybody's happy? Okay, well, everybody's happy. Okay.
All except Stuart.
No, I'm, whatever,
The
I
end is
mean,
near. The
if
end
it's
is
on
near.
Thursday, if it's on Thursday, I'm happy.
He's happy, he's a Thursday guy.
Okay.
We're in a better place with this plan than we've been in months and months. It's kudos to you, John and Stuart, for getting us to this. We're almost to the finish line, and it feels good. It feels real good.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds good.
The only other thing I asked, if you have a moment, fill out one of the survey forms. Did I give you one, Maurice? Okay, you're ready to go, and give me back if you want. You don't have to, but I'm going to enter them in the spreadsheet. But other than that,
We
I would
put our
do-
social security number on?
Yeah, put that down. Bank account number would be preferred. Because that goes to my quality of life.
Which just
Tell me
went
your,
up significantly.
John, what are the colors here you got colored in?
It was Maurice's creativity. It was just to show moving from, yeah, we're not doing very well in the red, to yellow, okay, green, we're in great shape. Just
If
great.
you've had your glasses checked out by your optometrist recently, you can see that there's a number 9 and 10 in those.
There's actually
those
numbers
two
in this.
I see-
One through 10.
I see something in there,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's 1 through 10.
scaling
Little
thing.
squiggly thing.
They look great on my screen.
Well,
It does look good on
All
the
right.
screen.
it adds nothing to the document except elements of confusion. But so you want your last motion, number 7?
We don't need that now.
Okay, fine. Move to adjourn.
What about the Board of Supervisors report?
Yeah, we're not through
Oops.
yet, not through quite yet.
That will be fun.
I have to ponder this.
Summarized.
Yeah.
I did not go to the Board of Supervisors meeting, I apologize. You know, whenever y'all ask for it, I don't have it. But when I have it, you don't ask for it.
You were the one with the litter committee.
Yeah,
I was
saw
in
you
there for
on
the first
Zoom.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Normally, what I report on is the public hearings,
Oh.
Yeah.
and I can look at the, I think I should.
It's okay. I saw it. I mean, I just didn't know if there was
Now, you
anything
got
new and different from last week.
1 through 10 on your blocks?
And
But
what-
you got 11 blocks in there, is that right?
I went against the new map.
No, there's
Is
10.
there really 11 blocks in there?
Well, you can go to -1 if you're that.
11.
critical, yeah.
11
Yeah, there's
blocks.
a zero. There's a zero in the left column.
One of them's a 0?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
That other
It's actually an
squiggly
eye
thing
test.
you said.
No, it's a 1. It's mine.
First column's 0.
No, it's a 0, yeah. All
Okay,
right.
all right.
You're taxing my vision here.
I was at the joint hearing with the Board of with the Board of School Board on 2 days ago, or was it yesterday? I forgot, Jesus. It was brutal. It was butt ugly. Heated debate over what happens to the employees who are currently in the finance department in the schools.
Both of them.
2 of them. And the school board was going out of their way to defend the great work that they've done. These would be the people that had led to a lien from the IRS, but I probably shouldn't be saying that. It was not a pretty situation. Finally, with some amendments, the a memorandum of understanding was accepted on a 5-0 vote by the supervisors and 4-1 by the school board to create the position of county finance director, which will include responsibilities for the finances of the school system. Yes? Oh, sure.
So,
He did that.
You're golden.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One of the things that I found really extraordinary about that meeting was nobody seemed, we're overdrawn on the budget by 1.3 million. And that's likely to increase substantially by the end of the fiscal year.
2 weeks.
Well, 2 weeks, yeah. I mean, who knows how substantial, but yeah.
What happens often at the end of the fiscal year in any governmental entity, and it's happened with the school board, is everybody goes on a buying spree. And there's nobody at the board, with the possible exception of the new superintendent, who's willing to say, we are massively over budget, and I'm responsible for it. Anytime the subject came up, 1 or 2 members of the school board would say, well, gee, I never heard that until afterwards. When it's in fact their job to monitor what's going on, at least on a month-to-month, if not daily basis. And in the middle of a budget crisis, it would be a daily basis.
And that's the accepted sort of wisdom at this point, Patrick. I've had some conversations with Dr. Leslie, who is just such a breath of fresh air. But what the folks from UHY were not publicly saying, but were hinting at, is that the problem is less administrative with the finance staff, and more the problem is that the program managers and principals, the school principals, were not reporting the invoices in a timely way or at all.
He very strongly sent that message.
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was remarkably absent.
Recording in progress.
Good, perfect timing. Go ahead.
One of the things that I thought was remarkably conspicuous about that meeting is that nobody was identified as having any responsibility for compliance with the budget. People just seem to spend whenever they feel like it without approvals.
Yep.
And in order for the system to work, you've got to have advanced knowledge of your cash flow situation. And, you know, surprise, we blew 800,000 this year, and the next year was much better. We only blew 600,000. And nobody catches it going in. It's always, oh, we were so surprised. And we never heard that we were over budget. Well, I don't know any bureaucrat that's going to go to a supervisor and say, well, I screwed up and I'm over budget. They just don't admit that. Now, they get creative about what was an emergency or somehow justifiable. But unless there's somebody with direct fiscal authority in a position to say, no, you can't buy any more paper clips, chalk, or whatever, they're gonna buy more paper clips. And that's just really human nature in some level. But they are, they are not in effect on an allowance. They have supposedly monthly budget reconciliations.
That's with the treasurer's office.
Yeah, it's not with the management of the school.
Right.
Now, the statute under which the school board operates says that it is their duty to monitor everything about the school system and demand reports whenever they want to. And if they don't do that, they're derelict. By definition, they're derelict in their duty.
Well, paragraph 91, as Patrick and I have discussed of the school code, basically says that if they overspend the budget, they are guilty of malfeasance in office. That's the school board. That is the grounds for the state police investigation.
Yeah.
So have the state police investigated?
They are working on it.
They're working
They are
on it.
actively
It's in
working.
process, it's in progress, but no, the problem I've got from where I sit is nobody has personal responsibility, i.e. your job description, to stay within the budget. Just, Christmas every day.
Well, Dr. Leslie appears to be taking it very seriously, so kudos to her.
Well, that's why I said with the possible exception of Dr. Leslie, and she's only been there for what, 6 weeks?
As acting
Yeah.
superintendent, she's been there longer than that, so yeah.
But she hasn't had any real time.
Right.
But just from a management standpoint, we've got a $20-some million a year business in this county where nobody accepts responsibility for compliance with the budget. I've never seen that before in my life. And gosh, they overspend. Surprise.
Regarding the regularly scheduled board meeting June 12th, they consider an amendment to the fiscal year 2025 budget. Its purpose of appropriating monies for grants reimbursement, additional personnel, contractual costs, opioid settlement money, sheriff's office and emergency services. These were additions to the budget, and I'm pretty sure they passed those because that's income coming in.
Not all, no, they're not all income, but most of them are passed, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the budget, that's just the amendments to the budget. So, of course, they've had multiple meetings since then, and it's all been focused on the budget, and I've not been attending those.
A real controversy that's been bubbling up is raises for county employees. And for some reason, and I don't know what the roots of this is, the proposed budgets all contain 0 raises for county employees with the exception of a 5% plus bonus raise across the board for teachers.
No, those funds come from somewhere else.
That's the
They come from the state.
Right, they come from the state.
Not the 5%, the bonus money
No,
does.
the bonus does, but he's right, there's a
The
5%
SOQ money
bonus
came from the
raise, too.
governor.
That's-
Right.
Standards of quality,
Right.
that came from the
Right.
governor. That's $8.50 per person.
So what's going to happen in order to put down a palace revolt is, or stall a palace revolt, is for everybody to get, any county employee gets some raise, however small.
1.25 is the number they're talking about.
I'm sorry, what?
1.25 is what they're kicking
And
around.
the teachers get 1.25 as well? Okay.
Yeah, the
They
board
would
was
still get
pretty
the
clear
SOQ
on
bonus.
wanting to be fair.
Right.
They were very clear on
Very
wanting to
clear,
be
wanting to be
fair
fair.
As
to
well as-
county employees and
Dr.
school
Leslie is
employees.
fully supportive of that.
You can't do something for the school and not the same thing
How,
for the county.
how do you do that if you don't have the money? How can you give people a raise if you don't have the money?
They're finding they're squeezing money out. First of all, there's probably overspending baked into the budget for the schools from last year, because the Board of Supervisors kept giving, every time they cried poverty, they gave more money. So if you ratchet back to actual levels of spending rather than what in the budget, it can be done, but Luttrell's coming up with lots of ideas on how to trim other stuff in county government.
Well, before you vote to give them a raise, I think you need to find out where that money's coming
Well, they're
from.
working on that.
They're working on it.
Don't do it and say, well, we'll take care of that later. It ain't gonna
They're
happen.
not doing
No,
that.
I think.
They have some positions.
But I think you have to also look at the fallout from all of
Right.
this, is that, first of all, the kids suffer more than anybody else. But second of all, you lose quality personnel. Dr. Burns was just awarded a national award for being Principal of the Year. And because of all this craziness that's going on, he's moved on to King George
With a big bump in salary.
with a big bump in salary.
I don't blame him.
And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. What we have to understand is that,
We lost
yes,
a good guy.
we say
Absolutely.
a million point, whatever it is, and we talk about the invoices weren't turned in on. See, it's a matter of just procedure. The procedure has been screwed up, and we haven't had anybody to stand up and say, let's fix the procedure. You see, we're not, I blame, a lot of that is because the school board is not educated on what they're supposed to be doing. You're the school board. You control your budget. You control the superintendent. You have to know what your job is.
Absolutely.
And your personality goes out the window. It has nothing to do with it. But you have to know what your job is. And you can't tell me that you're not allowed to go into the treasurer's office and find out what's going on. That is just crazy.
I think it's an
That
excuse.
is what
And,
But it's an
the
excuse.
chairman of the school board has said on more
Well-
than one occasion.
well, and also, it's just insane. And also.
Oh, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, it just makes no sense that a county the size of Northumberland, they have good kids that they turn out, and we have to figure out how you're gonna keep a workforce in place when we make things so difficult. And we're losing good quality people simply because the 1 million is a big deal.
Right.
But there are certain things that the school board should have caught, they didn't catch. Certain things the board of supervisors should have caught, they didn't catch. So,
Well,
you know,
if this goes back to one of the things I was talking about earlier, and it goes all the way to the top.
oh, definitely.
is
Definitely.
Nobody's got personal responsibility for budget control.
Yeah.
I mean, as one of the gals that stood up at the public hearing, she left Northumberland School after 10 years
Yeah.
and went to Westmoreland, got a great bump in salary, enough so that she doesn't care she's not getting an increase this year. She's still ahead of where she was in
Yeah.
Northumberland.
Yeah.
So it's
I
a
remember
balancing
that.
act. You ask where we're going to find the money for a 1.25. We have to keep the teachers that we have that are good. We have to figure, I mean, the problem has been administration. And so we can't punish the teachers or continue to punish the teachers and the county employees with no increase.
But you also-
And the police officers with no increase.
But you also have to understand that that school board was elected by the citizens of Northumberland County. And if they screwed up, it's the citizens that
The
have to fix
citizens
it.
need to pay attention to their elections.
That's right.
On
Because
all levels.
you cannot
They
accept,
need to pay attention.
I don't know anymore.
Right.
This just doesn't work that way. So,
But the children are hostage to administrative problems, and the children are gonna suffer when the good teachers leave, the good principals leave, the good police officers leave. And so you can't just say, okay, we're not giving anybody increases until we balance the budget. We have to find other ways to do it, and I think Luttrell is trying to find other ways
Yes.
to do it. And I give him a lot of credit for that, because it's not easy. Cuts have to happen. 1.25 increase is a cut.
yes.
It is a cut from what other county employees are getting in Westmoreland and Essex and Middlesex and
It's
Richmond
also lower
County.
than the rate of inflation.
Yeah.
And all of those counties I just mentioned are an easy commute for our talented people to leave us and go to those counties.
And I lead a youth group and high school students, and I ask, you know, and we just talk. And their problem is, well, first of all, there are not enough teachers. And most school divisions are going with substitutes to do the teacher's job, which teach the child. And this happens not just in Lancaster, not just in Westminster, it's all over the place. They have they just do not have, the people are leaving the profession because they have to make a living, and they have to be able to feed their family. But last time I looked at the statistics for Northumberland County, we're one of the richest counties in the state of Virginia. On paper.
Yeah.
Real estate.
Yeah, it's real estate. And-
Virtually none of those people that bring the average up have kids in the school system.
Right.
And so they, as you can imagine, are antagonistic towards the cost of the
agree.
school.
I agree.
Now, there's a second element to what you've been discussing. Teachers leave whether they're good or bad. And I would rather have fewer good teachers than a lot of teachers that are a mix of good and bad.
But you gotta have qualified people. That sounds good.
I don't care.
yeah.
Qualified is nice.
Qualified.
Getting a teacher's certificate isn't exactly a huge hurdle in this country. But they make no attempt to weed out the bad teachers, and there are plenty of them.
I don't think you can.
It's
Not
just,
the way they write their contracts, no.
You can't
it's
get
just like
rid of them.
good lawyers, or just like good real estate people. I mean, it's in everything.
Good bankers.
Our country really has, just look, just take a
Lower
quick
their
look.
standards.
I mean, we're screwing ourselves. So, anyway, I'm through.
You did good.
Anyway,
I move we adjourn.
I'll second that one.
Second, all in favor? Okay, thank you.